Hey everybody, welcome back to The Practice. This is that video we put together so that you can meet with your small groups during the week in order to try to put into practice those things that we're talking about on Sundays.
Right.
But before we get started with that, we always like to talk about what's going on and what's coming up so that we can all stay on the same page.
Right.
So probably the biggest thing that's happening right now is that the teens are back at the building on Wednesday nights, and we're having a great time with the Central and the South teens combined, building a lot of momentum, and it's really been growing, and it's a great thing for your teens to come to.
Yeah, it really is. And we also, the junior high midweeks are starting as well.
Right.
Kind of after a summer of trying some different things. So junior high and high school meeting together on Wednesday nights. I know it's an extra thing in your schedule for those parents.
I'm sorry.
And that's just the way that everything is working out right now. And I would really encourage you to put in that extra time to get them there, because it's like the way that the relationships are coming together, some of the lessons we're talking about, it's really an awesome time. So I want to encourage you to try to get your kids there. And of course, next Sunday, this coming up Sunday, it's our SALT Sunday. We'll not be meeting at the building. We'll be back in our community groups, and you'll be able to have a great weekend together. So that'll be awesome. We're actually taking all of our small group leaders away for a leadership retreat, although we're not calling it a retreat. We call it an advance because we don't want a retreat. We want to move forward. So all of your small groups are going to be meeting without your small group leaders. So we're praying for everybody. I'm sure it'll go great, and everybody will have a great time. As we head into September is going to be a busy and full and extremely exciting and fulfilling month.
Yes.
So coming up on September the 10th is our Saturday Night Live event. And this is going to be a special event for our teens, our campus students, our young singles. There are people coming from all over. The LA church and the San Diego church are going to be here. We've got two great guest speakers, one from San Diego, one from Boston, actually, that's coming in for this. And it's going to be a really cool event. So please make sure to get your teens and campus kids, anybody else to come for that night, Saturday night, September 10th. The following Saturday on September the 17th, we have a special workshop with David Jung. And David is coming in to help us with conflict resolution, like how to have
grown-up conversations.
And
where you respect the other person, they respect you.
It's a good thing.
You can disagree, but still love each other.
Right. And so that's going to be awesome. And we actually, he's going to do several things for us that weekend. But for the bulk of the church, I want you to put that on your calendar for Saturday night, September the 17th. So please check the Weekly Way for the details. But put it in your calendar so that you can be there, and that'll be great. And then, of course, that's right. The following
really
weekend,
important thing.
The big thing is our Fall Festivals Family Camp. More and more people are signing up, which is great.
Yeah.
We've only got a couple more weeks of registration open. So if you're planning on coming, you got to sign up now. And get that in. That way I can get the rooming all arranged and make sure everybody gets the room that they want. And we're all going to be happy and joyful and all that kind of thing. So if you are planning on it, please do it this week. I really need you to do it this week. So that takes us through the month of September. And it's going to be an awesome fall. I'm really excited about it. I also just wanted to tell you the marriage retreat is sold out. So I was encouraging you to sign up for the marriage retreat. That's why, because it is sold out. So 20 couples from the South are going. We got about 66, I think, going from Orange County. And so for everybody who was able to get a spot in it, it's going to be a great retreat. That'll be really awesome.
Yeah.
If you did not get to sign up and you're like, I really need a marriage retreat, I think Coastal LA is doing one that week afterwards combined with Lighthouse. So yeah, I'm sure you could slide into that one if you wanted to. So. But investing in your marriage, for those of you married people, investing in your marriage is one of the best things that you can do. And it's really worth the time and the investment and the money and the energy and the babysitting and all that you have to do to make it happen. But it pays incredible dividends. Yes. So I'm really glad that we're doing that. So that's kind of the stuff that's coming up that we wanted to talk about at the moment.
Yep.
So that leads us into, let's do a bit of reflection and remember what happened this past Sunday. Mark Kang from Detroit came and was our guest speaker on Sunday in service. If you were not there, you have to go back. I am commanding you in the Lord. You have to go back and watch his message. In fact, I'll put a link on the Weekly Wave for it because it was so good and so helpful, so instructive, so thought-provoking. Just on top of being a great presentation. I mean, the guy's a great public speaker, a great preacher, but so many great things to talk about. And so rather than us kind of launching into a whole different thought for us today, I just wanted us to pause and continue to reflect on some of the things that he talked about that came up in our hearts, and discuss it and go a little bit deeper, so that we don't miss what God is trying to say to us through this opportunity that we have, or through this moment. Yeah. So let's talk about it. Like, what was it for you? What did you get out of it?
Well, I got many things out of it, but I think some of the things that just come to my mind right off the bat are just his thought about how you have these mile markers that show you, if you're on the path of wisdom.
Right.
I love that point, that we're all on a journey, but not all of us are on the journey towards wisdom. And then he talked about one of the mile markers being your anger, and looking at that and just using it as a sign that you need to grow in your wisdom. And I thought his story about he's going to cram open that gas tank. Okay, that totally resonated with me. And I said, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel when relationships are frustrating, when it's hard to be a good parent, or to talk with, Jay, or to deal with things throughout the church or at work or whatever. And if I get frustrated, then I end up breaking things,
right?
And it just helped me for him to, talk about how instead of just fighting against this, impulse to be angry and sort of like behavior modification, instead looking for the idolatry that's just beneath it,
right,
which is my need to control, or my need to be heard, or my need for my opinion to be out there, or whatever it is. It's just really helped me to stop and take the time, which I had an opportunity already right after service to deal with my own anger. I'm not exaggerating.
No.
Like, I had this great service, and then right after that was the huge thing that sent me into anger. So I had to really think about that. And then the other thing that really got me was just the phrase that everybody wants to be a servant until they're treated like one. And it just reminded me of how, sometimes how easy it is kind of for us to serve, because, honestly, in the church, it's very encouraging.
Right.
People are encouraging. People are grateful. People,
right,
you do get, you get that kind of accolade or whatever it's called.
Positive reinforcement.
Yes. Even if you're not looking for it, even
right,
if that's not your reason, it is sort of the culture.
Because we're also trying to create a culture of gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
Being, aware of when people, or, you want to encourage people. So we do that. We encourage each other a lot. But yeah, the idea that, but am I serving? Am I okay serving if I don't get any of that?
Yeah, if I'm anonymous.
If I'm anonymous,
how am
or
I with the anonymous?
Even worse, if I'm treated like a servant.
Exactly.
If someone expects me to serve, puts me in that role.
Yeah.
Am I still willing to serve?
What's my attitude when I'm put in that position?
Wow.
It was just convicting.
That was convicting.
Those two things. So.
Now, little side note, that the person who made that comment is David Jung, the guy who's coming to help us.
That was so funny.
So the guy who's coming to help us on September the 17th. So he's the one that actually made that comment, which I thought that was kind of cool, a little thing from God there.
Exactly.
Kind of a preview maybe even of some of the great things that David will be able to share with us too. But I loved the, especially when at the beginning when he was talking about the strength of, or the strength that can come from the relationships that we have,
right,
and surrounding ourselves with people who will speak wisdom into our lives, and just the need for that. And because it's really interesting, even just over the last couple months, I had a lot of temptation from the enemy just about certain relationships and the depth of my friendships, and I would find myself tempted to feel isolated and alone. And so a couple weeks ago, I had sat down because I was like, this is not true. These thoughts are in my head, but I know that they're not true. And so I made a list of friends and friendships that I really wanted to invest in, and people that speak life into me. And then I was started to, every week, I'm investing in those relationships because I know that I need them in my life to help me. And so, each of those relationships has been growing in certain ways. And there's some specific ones that I'm like, I need wisdom from these people. And it's really helped me. And it helped me to kind of push back against that lie from Satan that I am alone, because I know that that's not true, but it's what he wants me to feel, And so just to hear Mark talking about that, like the relationships that you have are going to help you along that path to wisdom. I mean, I just thought that was so good and so helpful. Yeah. And then just looking at when anxiety and anger is taking over, that's an indicator that my relationships or my relationship with Jesus is off. And so being able to look at that and go, okay, when I'm feeling that stuff come up, I really need to surrender that again and come back and go, okay, where is that landing? So I hope I hope that
you guys can chop it up more in your groups.
all of you in your groups tonight are able to, talk about that. What hit you?
Yeah.
What resonated for you? Which story? We didn't even talk about the faith of when you go through difficult times and the faith that comes. That was also awesome. So there's so many things I think that you could talk about. So just have that discussion and see what comes up.
What'd you get out of it?
Yeah. So that leads us.
Also, we have an invitation for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's coming up? We talk about the fall festivals a lot. We've started talking about them. We're going to talk about them even more. We know that there was these 3 times of year that the men of Israel would return to Jerusalem at Passover, Pentecost, and then it's going to be at Sukkot. And so we are building up to this celebration. Even before that, we're going to give a little taste of the high holy days, which are Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But really, we're building up to this really big festival. It was called the festival.
Capital T, capital F.
Yes. So if the Bible says the festival, it's always talking about this one.
Right.
It was considered the biggest festival of the year. It was the most joyful festival of the whole year.
Right.
It's all about the provisions of God, all about God's presence and his provision, because it's teaching us it tells us, actually, I should say, that the thing that we're commanded to do is to live in tents for a week. We've talked about this before, right? To live in a tent for a week. You're supposed to erect a structure in your front yard, backyard, wherever, just to remind you of how God cared for the Israelites while they were in the desert all of those years, and that he will continue to care for us. And so you eat your meals in there and whatnot. And that's where we got our idea for the camp.
Right.
But this year, because it's a lunar calendar, not a solar calendar, Sukkot doesn't actually line up with when we're going to the camp. It comes later, and it begins on the 9th of October,
right,
which is the second Sunday in October. And so we are going to have a huge celebration with the entire region. So the entire region is going to come together. And this is going to be, honestly, the fall festival of all fall festivals.
That's what we're hoping.
That's what Sukkot is supposed to be. It's like the original fall festival. They would come together and they would just celebrate for a week straight.
Right.
So we're going to try to get just a little taste.
In biblical times, when Jesus was going up to the festival, what was going on? This was such a huge party. So because it goes on for 8 days, and each day gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that culminates with something cool. There's some really cool lessons that we're gonna talk about all that coming up. But the idea was this was the end of the harvest. They'd worked hard all year. They brought in the harvest, and now they got to celebrate. So we're going to celebrate all the good things that God has done in the Orange County Church. The entire region is going to come together. We're going to celebrate all the miracles that have happened, all the baptisms that have happened, all the babies that were born, all these things. We're going to have a great time inside, worshiping God and celebrating. And then we're going to go out into the parking lot where we are going to set up a big fall festival. And this is where you come in.
So we are inviting each one of the small groups to participate in this festival by setting up a booth. It's the Festival of Booths is what it's called. So we'd set up a booth. In our case, it would be an easy up.
Easy up.
Okay. But we have given some instructions and some ideas in your weekly wave. We're not going to go into it now. But we would really love it if every small group that wanted to would come up with some kind of cool idea for their booth to represent, something about the harvest, something about the fall. It's some way to encourage the rest of the church. So please together look over the information that's in the weekly wave maybe
Right.
tonight and start brainstorming about what your group can bring
Right.
to the festival. And it'll be so cool to see all of these booths set up in our parking lot from
Right.
all the different small groups across the OC Church.
And it could be a game that you can play with the kids.
Yeah.
It could be a craft that you do, or it could be food. Some of you like to smoke meat, and or provide,
Or
make certain
bake.
foods or
You have
something.
good,
and-
fall recipes.
Right,
for
you can bake a pie and
pumpkins
share a pie
stuff.
with it.
Yeah.
So there's just something that your group kind of wants to do together, and then
What do you get at?
yeah. So and we're hoping that almost all of our small groups throughout the church will be able to set something up and be able to contribute. It's just going to be a blast. We're going to have a
Yeah.
good time, and we're going to figure out all the details as it comes up. But that's going to be on October the 9th, which is not that far away. This is the last
Yeah.
weekend in August, and that's like the first full weekend in October. So it's not that far away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot coming up,
That's
and
why
we're going
we're
to get into
warning
all
you.
of that. So start planning for that. I know, be checking your calendar, be checking our SOC Google Calendar. We're trying to keep that updated, and I'm doing my best. Sometimes it works. And so check that, check the weekly wave, keep up with everything that's going on, and just be praying for all that God is doing here in the South
Pray
Orange
for
County
the
Church.
harvest. Remember, it's our fall harvest commitment to pray as many times as you can, but 3 times a day. That's our
Right.
goal. I'm trying to keep that in front of me, that
Right.
my goal for the fall is to become a woman who prays 3 times a day for the harvest.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Have a great time with your groups, and we love you guys. Have a great weekend with your community groups this Sunday, and we will be back in our practice video next week, and then we'll see you in person on September the 4th, where I'm actually going to be preaching about Daniel chapter 6. So I'm
Yay.
excited about that. All right. Love you guys. See ya.